So hello fellow Earthlings, this is Earthling 6455463728, and this is the story of my most unpleasant, or I think it's the most unpleasant, auto mechanic, car mechanic horror story that I've had. Basically, I got one of these cards. I don't know if they have them anymore, but maybe somebody was fundraising and they got a bunch of businesses to put discounts on a card, and they went around and they sold it to people. So you pay a certain amount of money, $30 let's say, and you will have a free oil change on there, and discounts for this and that and the other and whatever it was, that add up to more than the $30. So I was like, wow, that sounds great. I need an oil change. That's great. Now, of course, the idea behind it is that the company, the car mechanic company, they are not going to let you get away with an oil change. They're going to find a whole laundry list of things for you to fix that make it worth their while to give you a quote-unquote free oil change. But I was not going to have any of it. I didn't care what they told me. I was not going to do anything. So I already knew that up front. The thing is that I needed my car. I really needed my car to get to work. And I could not drop off the car during the week, let's say, and have somebody drop me back to pick it up later on or whatever. The only time I could do it was on the weekend, when I did not have anywhere to go, like to work. So I went on the weekend, and as it turned out, I was going on a road trip. Not a road trip, just, a thing with a friend of mine for a couple of hours, about 5 hours. So I was like, this is the perfect time to get this done. I know they're not going to do my car right away, but eventually, once I get back, it'll be done, because it's a whole bunch of hours, maybe 5 hours I'd be gone for. So I took my car, I went with my free oil change thing, and dropped the car off, and I told them, hey, I'm going to be gone, so just do my thing. So seemed like it would be okay, and I left with my friend. Now I knew that they were not going to probably work on my car. They're going to leave it to the very, very last, because I wasn't giving them anything extra to do. So I figured, here's what. Once we get to the place, wherever we were going, I can't remember, I'm going to give them a call and tell them I'm coming back, to give them a heads up so that they would start working on my car if they hadn't been, and by the time I got back, I would be able to get my car back, and I wouldn't have to sit and wait. So I did that, and I thought I was pretty smart, and we were driving back to the mechanic shop. When I got there, they still had not touched my car. So after being gone for 3 to 5 hours, when I came back, I still had to sit and wait. And every time I asked them, hey, have you guys done the free oil change? They hadn't. I don't know how long I had to wait, but it was really annoying. It was probably an hour, maybe 2 hours or something like that I had to wait. I can't swear by it, but it was a long time. And it was already somewhat tired and annoyed from, well, not tired, maybe hungry or whatever, from the whole road trip for the day trip. I just wanted to get my car and go home. But they didn't until, like I said, quite a while after I was sitting down waiting. And I thought, okay, fine, that was awful. I'm never going to do that again. And I went home, and I thought that was the end of it. It was not the end of it. It was the beginning of it. What happened is the check engine light on my car went on, and when I checked the oil, there wasn't any oil, or the oil was really, really low in my car, like, let's say the Monday when I drove to work. So what was going on? Well, apparently, these guys had, I guess they had forgotten to put a washer, or maybe they just put the wrong bolt back on the bottom of my car. So now it was leaking oil. So now I had to go and buy oil to put into it and find out when they would be able to fix it, put the right thing in there so that it wouldn't leak. And of course they wanted me to bring it back. And of course I was in the same situation that I'd been in originally, where I couldn't give them my car in the middle of the day because I needed it. I would need somebody to drop me back to get it. I'd have to drop it over there and then get somebody to drop me back. Number one, I didn't want to bother anybody to do that. And number two, I don't know that there was anybody. I was one of the first people to get a car. One of the first of my friends to get a car. So when I had a car, it wasn't like I was going places with my friends. I was actually lending my friends my car to go places. So after I got a car, then one by one they got cars. So that was part of it. There weren't people that I knew who had cars to drop me there. So it was a whole big hassle. So now I have to figure out, am I going to buy oil all week as this oil drips out of my car, and then wait for the weekend in order to have them do it? And I already don't trust them because they made this problem. So the days went by, I kept putting oil in my car, and eventually what I had to do was I had to go to, what's the name of that place? One of those auto parts stores, and look up and ask them if they had the correct part to screw into the bottom of my of the oil well, the oil sump or whatever, to prevent this thing from leaking. And luckily, I don't know, they can't supply every single part, but luckily they did. And I was just able to jack up the car, and I didn't have to spend time to go back to that place to see if they had the part. And if they didn't, they would have to go out somewhere and charge me for the mess that they made, the position that they put me in. And that was really, really annoying. And needless to say, in addition to all of the other stories that I've mentioned, they didn't increase my faith in humanity and professionals. And I realized yet again that I would not and should not depend on other people, or even that not that I should not completely depend on them, but I should know, and I should be present and alert. And I couldn't be present and alert in the instance of these people. Like I said, with the guy that I trust now, I trust him because he's cheaper, number one, and he doesn't gouge me. Over time I realize, okay, you have your faults, but overall you're still a stand-up guy, as they would say. Yeah, that's one of the things that I realized. Now, there's a little bit of time, so I will just go into the fact that at some point while I had this car, I also had no money and no job. And the lady that I was staying with, she sprung it on me after I asked her, hey, I see that you have moving stuff. Are you gonna move? No, she says, but I need the rent. As soon as I gave her the rent, a couple days later, she says, yeah, I am actually moving. And she did not give me back the money, any of it. Sure, I guess I didn't ask anyway, but obviously she was a liar. At any rate, not having a place to stay, unfortunately, staying here, there, and everywhere on couches and whatever, I pressed on one of these pedals of my car one day, and all out of the blue, this liquid squirted onto my shoe. And it was at night. It was like, I was just going to sleep on a friend's couch or whatever. So this thing squirted on my shoe, and I was like, that's strange. But I hoped to God that it wasn't a problem, and I went and parked the car and I went and slept. Unfortunately, when I got up in the morning and I pressed that pedal again, nothing happened that was supposed to happen. So I realized, let me check under the hood. I checked under the hood and I saw that one of the reservoirs were empty. So I put some fluid into it and I pressed the pedal again, and more fluid squirted out onto my foot. And I realized that I was in a real bind because as I said, I had no money, had no job, and I had no tow truck to tow my car to a place where they could repair it for free because I didn't have any money. So this was one of the worst situations that I found myself with my car in my life. And I had to pull open the book that I got, my car book, and don't ask me what the name of the part was that I needed, but luckily the Discount Auto Parts place was within walking distance. So I saw what I needed. I went with the book, asked them if they had that. Luckily they had it, and I was able to spend the next 5 hours or so trying to replace this thing that had squirted the liquid onto my leg. And like I said, I don't know what the part is exactly that it was. I've been trying to avoid saying it, but it was a clutch that I pressed. So this was a manual car. So yeah, for people who might be checking, what's a manual car? Yeah, that's how old the car was. And basically, I had to replace the thing without even knowing what the freak it was. Well, I knew what it was called. I guess the book called it, and I replaced it. And from that point, was it from that point? No, I already knew that I would have to depend on myself going forward. This was just something that I really would not have preferred to do, but I didn't have a choice. I couldn't pay a tow truck or any of those things that I would have needed to do because I literally had no money. So yeah, I was able to replace it, and I was able to avoid a potential auto mechanic or car mechanic horror story. So anyway guys, wish me lucks. You can like or unlike. You can comment as to why you might or may not have liked or unliked. And you can either subscribe and or share. Peace.